Hey guys, today I'm going to be speed running how to draw Reinhardt. Um, hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to draw Reinhardt. Long time ago, I got a master's in fine arts and with an emphasis on pencil sketching. So I'm definitely qualified for this, absolutely. So yeah, let's dive right in and get started. The thing about Reinhardt is he's a person, and drawing people is definitely an interesting thing. So we want to start by drawing a person. We can get started by we can always have like this kind of simple person here for reference, so we know like what a human even looks like, and that's always helpful to me. Always have a reference image so that you can kind of cheat basically, and no one will ever know. So anyway, so using the stick figure as a reference for Reinhardt, we can I don't know, we can just start drawing a person. We know what a person looks like. So we've got I might think about what pose he's gonna be in, because this pose, let me tell you, it's not like super interesting, and honestly, like, it's not realistic, because you can see here the arm's not even connected, and that's just a flaw in how I draw stick figures. I suppose they're not hyper realistic. If we were thinking it was going to be hyper realistic, we can just fill in the gap there, and he has basically a shoulder structure. But anyway, I might think about like what pose is Reinhardt going to be in, and I guess the one thing I think about, like, what is a Reinhardt player, and I want to get into the head psychologically. And there's a guy I know and he knows who he is. He has like 1,000 something hours on Reinhardt, and he pretty much like tapes down the shift key. He really just holds down the shift button like all the time. He's always charging, and so I think I want to draw Reinhardt in a pose that's indicative of this behavior. Like the typical behavior of a Reinhardt player is they're probably going to be charging 99% of the time, and that 1% of the time is when their charge is on cooldown, and so they're usually just standing still or emoting or something, I don't know, or they're dead. They're probably in spawn waiting while their charge is refreshing. So I think I'll draw him in the charging. The funny thing is about Reinhardt, and I'll start with like kind of a whole structure here. We've got now don't be fooled. This is his head hole. I don't know what to call it. It's like his neck hole kind of thing. It's a big hole, and this hole is a good hole, and it's not his head, but it's where his head will be. He has such a tiny head compared to the armor. It's kind of funny when you think about it. I laugh a lot. We've got this head hole, and the whole structure of his body will be around that. Now the head hole is facing us, because we know when he's charging, he's usually charging towards us. That's always what happens. And except the times when you see him just charge off the map for no reason, and that happens probably 50% of the time. But anyway, so we'll kind of get this shoulder structure. He has some complicated armor, but it's it just boils down to shapes, circles, triangles, whatever. It's nothing interesting, I guess. So he's got this kind of, I don't know, I'm doing this from memory. He's got this weird like protruding thing coming out of his shoulders, and I assume that's to protect his shoulder, but that's not confirmed. I'd have to ask Jeff Kaplan about that one. But so this whole structure here, this is all going to be where his shoulders are, and there's kind of there's these little designs that go around it. I have no idea, but the interesting thing about shoulders, while I'm doing this, they're a very complex organism on the body, and the shoulder is like so versatile, and it's really flexible. And it seems like when old people, Reinhardt's kind of old, right? He's like the oldest member in the in Overwatch. when I think about shoulders, and they're very complicated, and when you're an old person, shoulders are pretty weak, and they're typically the target of a lot of surgery, and they're a very complicated organism, and old people need shoulder surgery a lot. And so the whole thing about what I'm getting at is Reinhardt needs this really beefy shoulder protection section on his body, and so we have to make sure that this is big enough to protect his old shoulders, because they're probably weak. He's an old man. He's probably 187 years old, I think, according to my calculations. I think that's right. We have to make sure that the shoulders are really structured well, and there's not a lot of intricacy to the design as far as my memory serves. But I know that there's these little spike things that come out, and that kind of makes it look interesting. And you might think if you got hit by that, then you'd probably die instantly, and most people do, except Doomfist. Yeah, we've got this whole shoulder thing here. Now, this is this thing here. This is the forearm or the 5-arm, whatever. That's not his shoulder. I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself, and I apologize for that. But it depends on what skin you have, and I guess that's a whole nother consideration, is what skin are we going to be using for Reinhardt. And I think because I'm lazy, I don't want to draw a wolf head or whatever the heck the intricate design is on most of his fancy skins, and so I'll just stick with the circle. Whoops, see, that's the wrong color. You don't want the wrong color. I'll stick with the circle, and that'll probably be fine. But the thing about circles is, they don't look like a circle in real life, depending on the angle you're looking at them, unless it's a sphere. And so, that's and you learn that in art school. When you get a master's of fine arts, you learn this. And if you don't learn that, then you probably didn't go through the program. But so he's got this kind of circle, and it looks more like an egg because, well, I like eggs, but maybe not exactly an egg, but it's kind of an egg. So we've got this nice circle thing going on, and I don't know, maybe there's some other parts of this forearm armor, but the bottom line is he's got at the end of a forearm, and we know this from the anatomy. You'll see this thing here, this little blob here that's sticking out. It's right here. I don't know if I can circle that properly, but that's his hand. And so we know that because I set up the reference drawing. That's his hand, and so we know that at the end of the forearm is a hand, and so I can put this hand right at the end of his forearm then. And it's going to be grasping nothing, because when he charges forward, this is it could be holding on to his hammer, I guess. We'll have it hold on to his hammer, and so we'll kind of bend it down. Now, some people believe that hands are one of the most difficult things to draw, but honestly, like it's really easy. Like, I mean, they're done. Like it's not that hard, and so I don't know what the problem is. And so anyway, we've got this whole hand thing going on here, and his hammer is going to be got these big knuckles, I'm pretty sure, and there's some weird design going on with the glove, basically this Thanos gauntlet thing. Haha, I said Thanos, right? And that makes me funny. And so the hammer's gonna go out like that, so he's like kind of grabbing the hammer, and but it's not going to go this way, and we know this because that's stupid. So the hammer is going to be going that way, and it's going to go up here to somewhere else, and that other place is going to be kind of like his other arm, I would suspect, and his other arm's going to be grasping the hammer from this part, and so we can kind of get his hands working on that side, and I guess the angle's a little off here, and I remember from my for my circle that circles don't always look like circles depending on the angle you're looking at, and that's kind of the same with hands, really. So if I look at a hand from the top, it's gonna look like this, but if I look at the hand from a different angle, it's gonna look like something like this, I would think. And so yeah, I mean, like it's different, right? It's not the same. Or even like this, like you got the thumb there and then the fingers. There's drastically different ways that the hand can manifest itself, depending on what perspective you're looking at. And so we know then that this hammer is going to be going into his hand, and he's going to be holding on to it. And so he's got a thumb too somewhere. It's going to go right there. We'll just kind of forget about the thumb. It's not that important. It sets us apart from a lot of animals, but not monkeys. So I don't think it's that important if the monkeys are basically, like, what I'm trying to say is if it's not unique, like if monkeys have it, it's not that. So another thing about sticks, and the thing is the hammer is a giant stick, right? It's just a stick, but it's got some stuff going on each side of it. The thing is, I could draw this from this perspective just real straight, like, well, that doesn't look straight. Just kind of like that, and that's fine, right? But the thing is, it's like the hand or the circle. If I look at it from a different perspective, it's not going to be manifesting itself as a straight line. It's going to be, like if I look at it more head on, it's going to be smaller here, and then it's going to get bigger like that towards you. And so the hammer is going to get a little bigger. It's not going to get a lot bigger because we're not like in his face. If we were in his face and the hammer was like directly in the end of this, if this part of the hammer was like directly in front of us, then it'd be huge. But we're just kind of off to the side a little bit. But we know that it'll get a little bigger. And now going off of memory, I know that there's this weird noodle knob thing on the end. I don't know what it exactly looks like. It's just something. But again, I got the perspective wrong on this because I wasn't thinking in terms of the circle. So, and we can come back to that at a later time because it's not super important. And so the bulk of the hammer, though, the interesting part that makes it a hammer, it's going to be on the other side. And so we're actually running out of room a little bit here. So I'm just going to move him over there. I don't want to lose my stick figure reference. Otherwise, I'll forget what it looks like. I was just taking a sip of some water. Important to stay hydrated. So this end of the hammer is gonna be just kind of getting a little smaller, not a lot smaller, just a little bit, because of the perspective we're looking at it, and it's gonna kind of go off and whoops, and lead into the other end of the hammer. Now, again, I don't know what Reinhardt looks like except from what I have in memory, and I know that the hammer helps him charge, like it has its own exhaust, and I know what hammers look like, and so we can kind of now the head of a hammer, like this part, it's a circle, right? But we make it look different because the way we're the angle we're looking at it. So, but I know what a hammer looks like, and so I don't know exactly where the exhaust goes, because hammers don't have exhaust, but I do know what they look like, so we can at least go with that. See that looks more like a hammer now. And well, not a hammer with an opening in it. We'll just cover that up. So that's as close as I can get to memory. I can't do much more with that. And yeah, so I think that's perfectly fine. The exhaust probably comes out of the back in some little hole thing. Like maybe it's this. Maybe there's like a little tailpipe thing that sticks out of the hammer, and maybe that's where the exhaust comes out. I don't know, whatever. We can just leave it at that. So we've got a lot of this done. I'm gonna take this little guy. He doesn't need to be that big. I can make him smaller. Whoops. So we can move this up, because another part, if you look at the stick figure, he has legs, and they're connected to the bottom of his body. But the thing about the perspective we're looking at Reinhardt in, we're not going to see much of his lower body, his lower torso, just because the hammer's in the way and he's like leaning towards us. But something I guess I don't like about this is how stupid it looks, and I think the reason it looks stupid is because he looks really top heavy. Like his legs are just not, there's just something wrong with them. Like they're not as bulky as they need to be, and so we can make them bulkier. And I think that's the whole point, right? And that's something that I'm forgetting because I can't see him right now, and it makes me nervous. So if we just make everything larger, and that's the whole point of Reinhardt, right? Like everything needs to be huge and daunting, and so we just need to make everything like massive and huger, more adequate, really. And you can see like the mistakes that I've made are just going away magically because he's gotten larger, and as my abilities decrease, his size increases in order to compensate, and that's what I would expect. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better. So now we can kind of move on. The hammer's perspective isn't super great. I'm not very good at art, and there we go. I think maybe that looks a little better, because it's kind of at an angle here, just kind of like the circle, and so we need to cover up those parts because we don't normally see them. So whatever. We can move on to the fun part, and that's his face. Now I like drawing faces because I know what faces look like. I have a face, and I see faces. I see people. Usually, when I'm alone, I can see them, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. You know, honestly, because it's so small. What are you gonna do? Like, there's not a lot of detail I can put into this, so I need to stick to what I can work with. Is his helmet is so small in comparison with the rest of his body, and it looks kind of funny. But it has a nice like suit of armor kind of look, and this circle is ridiculous. I don't know. I'll never understand it really, but the perspective. We just want to put the lines here so that we know that's kind of where the light is coming from inside of his helmet. And then we can kind of like shade that in a little bit because that part's dark, and we don't want to be looking at that part. We want to be looking at his face. And so one thing that makes this really pop out is if his helmet came out of the circle a little bit. And what I mean by that is it needs to protrude out of it a little more. And so we can make it bulkier and larger, more adequate. And so we can kind of shift the circle a little bit. I think that would help. I don't want to make it too bulky like your mom, and just kind of take away a little bit of that to make the circle more adequate. That looks a little better, I think. It's structured like his actual body, and that means that there's going to be some nipples here, and There's definitely going to be a second one. From what I know about the stick figure, you can just barely make it out, but there are 2 nipples. And so, well, I guess the disappointing thing is the other nipple would be like right there. But the thing is, if he was stretching, if his arm was stretching up like that, then we could move the nipple up so it would like stretch that way, and that might be okay. If we're doing that here, it kind of makes him look like he's lifting the hammer up on his left side, but we'll just have to hide the nipple. I think so. That's good. I still wanted to draw his face, and so we can take this. We can kind of put it to the side there. We'll do a nice portrait here. Something a little high quality. We know that he has a beard. We know that his features are incredibly chiseled, and so he's got like this huge chin jawline thing going on. But he's got a nose and eyes. The thing about eyes is you don't have to put a lot of detail into them to make them look nice. That's pretty much all I'll do. I do remember from memory that he has this little point on his hairline, and it's probably receding. He's got a nice beard. The nice thing about beards is it makes us even lazier at drawing, because we don't have to we don't even have to like draw half the face pretty much, and that's something I like. I like not having to do things. That's always nice and a plus to my day. You might be wondering, well, that looks stupid. He doesn't have dark hair. Well, the thing is, like, he has gray hair, and so I wanted to kind of emphasize that, and really just start with the dark and then put white over it so that it looks a little more gray. We don't even have to like barely even draw his mouth, because the beard is covering it up, and that's nice. I don't like having to do things. So he's got this nice defined eyebrows, and again, those are kind of gray, so we want to emphasize that, and we want to put like a little sparkle in his eyes, and then we know that he has this scar on his face from whatever. I don't know, it makes him look like really edgy, so we'll just put that on there and call it good. Now the problem is this doesn't really look like him, and the reason is because I think the hair is just too flat. When I think about Reinhardt, I think about like a mountain man, strong guy. Like, he probably hasn't had his hair cut in 1,000 years. And so we have to apply the same principle to the problems I had with the leg here, and just make them bigger, bulkier, more adequate. We have to apply that to his face as well. So his face needs to be bigger and more pronounced in the right places, and just more adequate. And so I'll move this because I gotta make some room for what I'm gonna do. So his hair, for one thing, it's gonna be going all over the place, because he's got bushy hair. His hair is huge. His beard is going to be absolutely massive, and it has to be. Otherwise, it's just not him. And so we have to start doing that, make it really, really pronounced and bushy. The thing about these eyes is, like, Overwatch eyes are just they're huge. They're not hyper photo realistic, and so we don't want to make them look like too real. Otherwise, it'll be kind of uncanny. And so I make them cross-eyed, because I don't want you to think, I don't want you to be deceived that, you know, oh, this is a real person. It needs to be obvious that this is an animated figure, and you know, this isn't a real person, and so that's a good technique to use. And so again, his hair is gray, and so we want to just like put the gray in here, the white, and you know, obviously I think this is definitely Reinhardt. I mean, if anyone doesn't think that it's him, they're just foolish. I think that this is definitely Reinhardt. This really looks like him. And so yeah, that's how to draw Reinhardt. Thanks for watching.